And I was like, yes, you guys, props to you. But are y'all gonna track down Matt's 25, 29 other kids and teach them to be feminists as well? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single video. So this right here is the Teen Mom OG, episode 1 of the newest season. I'm too lazy to go figure out what season it is. Recap. The episode starts off with Farah setting up her newest business, which is the Sophia Laurent children's clothing boutique. And she looked absolutely beautiful in this scene. And at a certain point, she's talking to some of her employees about how, you know, she has someone to interview, but she's running late or the person's running late and she can't stick around because she's got to go pick up her daughter Sophia for a photo shoot for the store. So when she gets back home, we see that, you know, Daddy Derek's father is actually home with Sophia and Deborah, and the four of them being together was a really, really sweet scene. I'm so happy to see that Farah maintains her relationship with Derek's family and that they could see him through his daughter Sophia. Meanwhile, down south, Taylor and Macy are promoting their t-shirt line as hard as ever, and of course Bud Light enters the picture within like 10 seconds of them being on screen. And also, as usual, Macy's complaining about Ryan being an absentee father and how, since he's always late for Halloween, they're hosting it at their house this year and leaving if he just doesn't make it on time. Now in Indiana, I have to say, Amber's scenes always make me so sad, because whenever I see Matt pop up, I'm like, oh, she's still with this geriatric deadbeat. She's still funding his lifestyle. I mean, I guess. So she kind of talks about the debut of her line Forever Oat, which she believes is French. And I'm like, girl, if you're gonna name your store something, your business something, you better know what it means. You guys, I don't mean to be shady, but I literally forgot and just could not tell that she had some kind of extreme weight loss, you know, body sculpting surgery, until she mentioned it in the scene. And I swear to God, that's not me being shady, that's me being real. Anyway, she does mention that she's been having like a really extreme toothache, but she's not ready to go to the dentist about it because she's afraid that they will prescribe her some hardcore medication. And, you know, being a recovering addict, she really doesn't want that. And she's going to suffer through with the pain until it's really, really, really unbearable. And now over in Michigan, Caitlyn and Tyler get off the couch long enough to potty train their daughter Nova, and then they head over to their new home and discuss how Butch being in jail for like the billionth, trillionth, bajillionth time has affected Tyler. And then we quickly cut on over to the next scene. You guys, there's not a lot of meat in these scenes. We're seeing a lot of really, really quick scenes over in this episode because we're right back down in the south where Ryan and his family and his girlfriend Mackenzie are all having lunch and discussing Macy's wedding. They all thought it was beautiful. And then Ryan kind of randomly talks about how he had this dream of Macy getting married and he like had a dress pictured for her. I do have to give his girlfriend Mackenzie props for giving him the side eye that I would have given my man if he said that kind of stupid shit in front of me, and especially in front of his parents. I was like, yes, girl, you better get him together when you get home. Before we move on, I have to ask, did any of you guys also find Ryan's speech to be a little bit slurred? I was kind of like, something's a little bit off with the way you're speaking here, but I digress. Now back in Texas, Farah is setting up her other store, which is furnished by Farah, when her father Michael shows up to help her out. And they seem to have a really, really good relationship. I was so happy to see her not berate him. And so as they're setting things up, she starts talking to Michael. She's like, Michael, like, I'm so frustrated by my mom. Like, she was like a total attention whore during Sophia's store photo shoot. Like, she kept kind of interrupting things. All the attention had to be on her. It's so frustrating. And I think I'm going to have to cut her out of my life for at least a little bit. And so Michael kind of, you know, is reluctantly in agreement with her about the whole thing. And they literally don't fight at all in that scene. But I do have to say, Farah, you look so great with brown hair. I really wish you would ditch this blonde weave. Like, it's never blended properly, and the color literally does nothing for her but wash her out. And you guys, speaking of questions I have about Teen Mom OG, why doesn't Amber have friends her own age? Every time we see a scene of her, she's with people Matt's age, and I'm like, girl, you are literally old enough to be his daughter. Get some friends your own age. Like, we saw them hanging out with their neighbors, and she's talking to them about how the two of them plan to open up a bunch of businesses in order to fund the rehab that they're planning to build in the future. They also talk about how they're raising Amber's daughter Leah to be a feminist and to believe that women can do anything men can do, including owning businesses and stuff like that as well. And I was like, yes, you guys, props to you. But are y'all gonna track down Matt's 25, 29 other kids and teach them to be feminists as well? Next up, Caitlyn, Tyler, and Nova head out for lunch with Tyler's mom, and they talk about how Butch is not getting out of jail until December, and Tyler is completely over it. Everything seemed to be going like pretty decent, but of course, as usual, Tyler had to throw his wife under the bus to his mother, and I really felt heartbroken for Kate in this moment, because like literally out of the blue for no real reason, Tyler's kind of like, yeah, and Kate's depression is like making me real sad as well. And I was like, this is a conversation you could have had without her. She probably already feels bad enough about not being able to climb out of her depression without you throwing her under the bus at every single effing turn. You could really tell just by looking at her that he really did break her heart in that scene. And then back in Farah's world, she and her mother sit down in her backyard, and shit literally immediately hits the fan when Deborah brings up therapy. Farah's like, I don't need therapy. The only people who need therapy are you and Michael. I'm good. And then Deborah's like, well, the doctor said I'm good too, boo. And Farah is like, this is really ironic. Farah is harshly, like really aggressively telling her mother that the only things she needs in her life are peace, love, and positivity, and she just keeps ragging on her mom about how she needs all these things as she cuts off her mother, who's trying to tell her that she loves her. And I was like, Farah, you're so dense, it hurts, girl. And as if that was not cringeworthy enough, we're quickly transported over to Indiana, where Matt and Amber are so open about airing their dirty laundry out in front of their freaking neighbors. They're talking about how they want to call Gary and ask for an extra day with Leah in order to take her to school in the morning. And then we flash back over to Gary's end, where he's talking to Christina about how he does not feel like Amber is responsible enough for that level of, you know, commitment to their daughter. He's like, I don't think I could trust her to drop Leah off at school in the morning. And he said one of the biggest reasons for not trusting Amber with that was because, you know, her home seems to lack structure. And I mean, yeah, there are dogs pissing all over the damn place, right? And one thing that really stuck out to me here was when he told Christina that he'll instinctually know when it's okay to leave Leah with Amber for things like school nights and stuff like that. And he's like, when I'll know when I can do that, and it's when I instinctually feel like I could trust Amber with Leah's life. What? Did anyone else kind of like drop out of their seats at that moment? Like, what? So when the producer cuts off Gary here and goes, Gary, it really seems like you don't trust Amber's mothering skills whatsoever. And so Gary, I was like, yes, because this is what Gary did. He's like, well, did you see her at that fight at that last reunion when her daughter was there? Her daughter could have been watching her mom acting a damn fool on the monitor, violent and belligerent, cursing. You know, like that is not what a mother does. And if that's what she's going to do while her daughter is backstage able to see it, then I don't know what the hell she's going to do when, you know, the cameras are off. And he also did add that like while he was in school and stuff, even though like he was responsible for himself, he felt that Amber was a bad influence on him as well. And I was like, okay, at this point, you're kind of just, you know, trying to like keep beating this dead horse and kicking it while it's down. Why don't you relax, boy? And then we move on to happier times when down in Texas, Farah holds an official grand opening for like all 3 of her stores. And it was really monumental in the teen mom world. Love her or hate her, what Farah's doing with these businesses is like showing a great image for young girls about entrepreneurship. Like, personality aside, she has 3 gigantic stores in a really beautiful part of town, and we should all be applauding for her for that. Side note, did you guys see that hot Redditor girl with the red hair that was kicked out of the grand opening by Simon? I was really looking forward to seeing her, but I don't think I spotted her. If you did see her, leave a comment down below. Let's give her a nice big shout out, because not all heroes wear capes, y'all. Tyler and Kate's therapist should be getting a paycheck from MTV with how often they are seeing her. So Tyler heads over to her office to talk to her about how Butch's rearrest has really kind of like pushed him over the edge. He was like, I am so done and over it and exhausted by it all, and mixed with Kate's depression that just doesn't seem to go away. Like, I literally don't know what to do. Like, everybody in my life right now is causing me so much stress and anxiety and just sadness. He says that all of this reminds him of his time in his childhood where he was just so down and depressed that he attempted suicide. And I was really sad for him in that moment, because that's not at all how like a really young 20-something-year-old newlywed should feel, especially one with a new child as well. He then says that he just doesn't feel joy when he knows he's supposed to anymore. And so the therapist therapist asks him whether or not he feels joy with Kate anymore, and he says he literally just doesn't know. But what he does know, though, is that he focuses on her health and well-being more so than he does his own, and that he's frustrated that she won't let him, talk about her problems with people, even though he only does that in an effort to get, the sort of feedback that will allow him to help her feel better. And another thing that frustrates him about her is that anytime he confronts her about this depression and the way that it drags down the whole entire family collectively, she just shuts down the conversation by crying and refusing to talk about it. And you guys, you know that this is something I've been complaining about forever. I do believe it's a manipulative thing to do. So the therapist does agree that, it's not fair that Kate shuts down conversation by crying, and she advises Tyler that he better push the conversation past the tears, and Tyler agrees. So this should be an interesting season, y'all. Now it's Halloween down in Tennessee, and so the family goes over to Macy's house to go trick-or-treating, and it's honestly, Ryan's parents are the cutest grandparents in the world, like they are so stinking cute. It's adorable how they got all dressed up, went over to Macy and Taylor's house to go trick-or-treating with little Benny, and as usual, Ryan was running a little bit late, so they all decided to just go on their little golf cart, bougie asses, and trick-or-treat without him. And so he did catch up, and Macy pointed out a funny joke because he wasn't dressed in costume. She was like, "Oh, you look like Ryan from Teen Mom." It was really funny. But did any of you guys also notice that Ryan was looking a little thick in the thighs in this scene? He sure has gained quite a bit of weight and, sprung himself some childbearing hips. Michael and Farah's relationship is still going strong as they meet up for dinner, and Farah again brings up, the fight that happened with her mom over therapy. She starts, the ugly cry face reemerges, and she's like, "No one in this world has tried harder to have a good, healthy, stable family but me." And I'm sure the whole entire world collectively side-eyed the hell out of this girl. As abusive as she is towards her family, she really thinks she's trying hard to mend things, and again, her issues. And again, her dysfunction shows as in this scene where her dad is being really supportive of her, she just continuously cuts him off and won't let him have a word in edgewise. Yet she claims that therapy has helped her so much. She's receptive to other people's feelings. She's a really peaceful, happy-go-lucky, fun-loving person. Yeah, right, girl. And then over at Amber's Sugar Shack, she gets a text back from Gary saying, "You know what? Don't even worry about dropping Leah off at my place. I'll just come get her myself." And so she sheds these crocodile tears about how she feels like Gary is treating her like she's a bad mom. She desperately wants to take Leah for school. And if you guys paid attention last reunion, as she was doing the same crocodile tear thing, Gary already called her out for saying, "Listen, Amber, when the cameras are off, I have to beg you to be with your daughter. There was a time when you were not with Leah for 2 months. You never ever took her to school anytime that I offered it. So don't play that with me because the cameras are rolling, boo-boo." And I am just not here for Amber and her crocodile ass tears. Go back to funding your geriatric deadbeat. In the final scene of the debut episode of Teen Mom OG's new season, Caitlyn and Tyler make their way back to their natural habitat, their trusted leather couch, and kind of unwind about Tyler's therapy session. He tells her that he's feeling a little bit depressed himself, and Caitlyn is kind of like, "Oh, I never noticed. You still goof around and stuff. You're still kind of funny." And I thought that was so ignorant of someone who, has been suffering from depression herself for years. Did she not also kind of hide it sometimes and goof around with people? That was really ignorant of her to say. But she does redeem herself by asking him, "Listen, is there anything that you need from me to help you feel better?" And Tyler tells her no, he doesn't need anything. And I was like, "Tyler, you just spoke to your therapist about all the things you need from your wife in order to help you out with this depression. And when she asks you, you're just gonna tell her you don't need anything? Really? Are you sure? What? I was just so disappointed with him at that moment, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and chalk it up to him, kind of wanting to choose his words wisely so that he doesn't set her off. So I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, that concludes my recap for the debut episode of Teen Mom OG's new season. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say about it all in the comment section down below. So please leave all your thoughts and opinions and we'll chat for sure. You can also like this video, share it with your friends, and feel free to follow me across social media as well, where I do love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.